After a 9-1 start and a resounding win over North Clayton last week, the Westminster Wildcats hit the road for the first round of the state playoffs as they take on the Laney Wildcats. Hello fans, and once again, welcome inside our WCAT studio for another edition of WCAT's Friday Night Kickoff Show. As always, I'm Ben Ladner, joined by Keller Austin. And Keller, you can clear the records, clear the history, clear the stats. The playoffs are a new season and anything can happen.
You're absolutely right, Ben. The Cats had a remarkable regular season, but everybody has a fresh slate once it's the postseason, and traveling back to Laney for a second time this season is going to be a game that the Wildcats in red will be looking for some revenge.
When you look back at this season, it's certainly been a special one. This team has got such a team-first mentality and so many leaders. You can just tell that everyone knows his role and everyone plays for each other.
This team isn't much different from the one that we had last year in terms of personnel, but it has played as a more cohesive unit that holds one another accountable. They've really bought into that family slogan and played like one.
It's probably been one of the most cohesive groups I've had, and just their desire and their commitment and their will to win, I think has propelled us to this point so far.
And if you look at the season by the numbers, the team has been astounding. Westminster is 9-1 and has outscored opponents 312 to 123 and 15 to 18 in the first quarter. Zay Malcolm has 1,182 rush yards and 14 touchdowns. The Cats as a team are averaging 7 yards per carry with a combined 2,571 rush yards. On the defensive side, Charlie Trentz leads the team with 77 tackles, and Cortez Alston has 12 tackles for loss and 3.5 sacks, both leading the team. The Cats as a team have 69 tackles for loss and 13 sacks. Keller, when you look at all of those ridiculous numbers, is there one in particular that really stands out to you?
The biggest thing that sticks out to me, Ben, is the overall improvement from last year. More tackles for loss, more sacks, more overall tackles, and better offensive numbers are all key stats from this team, especially those tackles for loss. It shows that the defense has really been aggressive at getting after opposing quarterbacks and opposing running backs, really playing downhill and putting the pressure on the opposing offensive team rather than making a tackle in the secondary like we did a lot last year, letting guys get to the football and then making a play. They're making plays behind the line of scrimmage all night.
Well, tonight the Cats take on Laney. Yes, the same Laney they played back in Week 2. The series history is brief but recent. Once in 2012, once in 2013, and now this will be the second time in 2014. Westminster has won all 3 of the previous meetings so far, but that last one did not come as easy as most of their wins have this season.
Last meeting, Ben, Westminster won 14-6 at Laney. It was September 5th, as you mentioned, in Week 2. But the Cats were absolutely dominated statistically. They were outgained 293 to 187 by Laney. But the defense came up big. Laney had 4 fumbles, 3 of which they lost, and they had both the teams had 10 combined punts. Westminster also had a better night with the referees. They had 9 penalties for 67 yards, while Laney cost themselves 121 yards of offense on 13 penalties. Last time in Augusta, Westminster was fortunate to come away with that victory. With the few gifts that we did get from Laney, the Cats struggled to run the football. And that's one thing that they did effectively the entire rest of the season. But they couldn't do it as well in that Laney game. The defense came up big, making some huge stops, and even got a score of their own on a fumble recovery in the end zone by Hal Silcox, caused by Charlie Cauley, back when Blake Gillikin had a 71-yard punt to put Laney on the 2-yard line.
So the Cats are hoping for a cleaner and more characteristic game tonight as they go for their 10th win as they head into the playoffs. It's win or go home. Wildcats versus Wildcats, Westminster versus Laney is coming up next on WCAT.